Going to do something slightly different. When you're a truther, you're going up against the military-industrial complex and the CIA. And 9/11 was not the only crime that those parties were involved in. I think it's also important to fully understand just how corrupt our institutions of government are and can be. And to fully understand that history, you would have to understand things like the 1989 Bush pedophilia scandal, which leads into, this is really one of the darkest topics I think you will probably ever talk about, or we will ever talk about in our lifetimes, because it involves the exploitation of children, a gigantic cover-up. It's like 9/11, it's too overwhelming for many people to deal with, to even talk about. So I applaud your courage in coming today. We're going to delve into this topic with an authoritative author, an old friend of mine. In the past year, he wrote a book called The Franklin Scandal. He risked his own life, 7 years of research, going after the CIA-linked pedophilia scandal that really implicates the upper echelons of the U.S. ruling class and their most corrupt, most exploitative elements. So, may his courage give you courage. Put your hands together for Nick Bryant. Okay, good.
Hi everybody, I want to thank Sandra for that introduction. And yeah, this is my book. It's called The Franklin Scandal.
Are you on?
I don't.
Your mic on?
Oh, turn on your.
Am I on?
Yeah. Test.
Test, test, test. Am I on?
Let me turn on the channel.
I'm trying to get turned on. I'm turned on.
You're good.
I'm turned on, you tune in, and we'll drop out. So this is the Franklin Scandal. It's a little project of mine. It took 7 years. I traveled 40,000 miles, and it contains a lot of sealed grand jury documents that I used to prove my case. And the name of my presentation is Lessons Learned from the Franklin Scandal. Franklin Scandal was an interstate kind of pedophile network, and it pandered children to the rich and powerful, and it was covered up, and I'll get into that. So, lessons learned from the Franklin Scandal. According to the source, there are 100,000 to 300,000 American children trafficked every year domestically. A lot of people think that they're coming from Mexico or Eastern Europe. I've seen a study where only 15,000 to 18,000 Mexican children are trafficked in the United States. The vast majority of children trafficked in the United States are American children. Our government says 100,000. The University of Pennsylvania says 300,000. Given my research, I think that we're closer to the 300,000. Now, the Franklin Scandal operated. The epicenter of the Franklin pedophile network was in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where most of the kids came from, and it operated for about 10 years, and it operated with complete impunity for a number of years. State law enforcement was reportedly alerted to, in 1986 when the first victim reportedly came forward. Her name was Ulysses Webb. They got kids out of the foster care system. Ulysses was taken out of the foster care system. They got kids out of orphanages, but I think most of the kids fell through cracks. Another girl came forward in 1988. Her name was Shanetta Moore. And Shanetta was interviewed by a member of the Omaha Police Department who thought she was credible, but she was only interviewed once. So there was an early cover-up, and we're talking a federal cover-up of child trafficking, and which makes the federal government complicit in child trafficking. The U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI played a very early role. In the 1980s, a social worker had a very bad feeling about one of the foster care homes that the kids were being taken out of. And she started digging into it. And the FBI showed up at her doorstep and said, "We don't want you to dig into this." And in 1988, other state entities in Nebraska started to investigate this pedophile network. And they were told by federal enforcement to back off. Federal enforcement said that they were investigating this pedophile network, but in fact they were not. So, ultimately what happened here is in 1988, the Franklin Credit Union fell. It was Lawrence King, who was a GOP power broker. He sang the national anthem at he opened up the 1984 Republican convention with the national anthem. And it was found out that he'd embezzled $40 million from the Franklin Credit Union. And the Franklin Credit Union shouldn't have had $40 million. It was a credit union in a lower socioeconomic part of Omaha, Nebraska. It was only supposed to have $2.5 million. In the wake of the raid, Nebraska's Senate formed a subcommittee called the Franklin Committee. And they just wanted to investigate King's looting, because how does a credit union that's supposed to have $2.5 million, how does someone plunder it for $40 million? And why hasn't it been audited in 4 years? So the Franklin Committee formed, and as soon as they formed, people within the child protection agencies in Nebraska came to them and said that credit union is a front for an interstate pedophile network. A number of kids have come forward. We've contacted state law enforcement. We've contacted federal law enforcement. They've done nothing. So the Franklin Committee announces that it will investigate the child abuse allegations as well as the $40 million. So the feds really have to jump into action. The FBI announces that it will investigate the child abuse, and it quickly announces that child abuse allegations have no substance. The Omaha World Herald and the New York Times, which are pretty big in covering